Rock Talk.
All right, so Guy,
Yes.
welcome
Good
back.
morning.
Welcome back. Guy, if you didn't know, is going to be doing regular legislative updates for us every week. We're going to try to do 10, 12 minutes and talk about what's going on that needs to be talked about right now. So, as our legislative liaison,
Yes.
how's it going over there?
Well, it's been, obviously, with the holidays, it's been, excuse me, kind of quiet. But, that Democrat elected Speaker Jasper is, I guess, we've all been around long enough. How many leaders do you see that lead effectively that work completely at, vindictiveness? He's removing people off committees and putting them on committees that they didn't want just because, it's a vendetta. There was a representative out of Northwood that's been on criminal justice and public safety for 4 years, and he put in for it again, and he didn't get it. And when he saw Democrat elected Speaker Jasper, he asked, why am I not on my committee? And his only answer was, why, and walked away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know why. That's a perfectly acceptable response.
For a leader, yes. Yes. I mean, I've had, in business, I've had up to 30 guys on construction jobs that we needed to get done, and you needed to move right along. And there were a few there you did not like. But the last thing you want to do is start acting out of vengeance to slow up the job, to morale, the whole 9 yards. You just don't do it. When you have to get something done and you're a leader, you have to just move along and put a lot of things behind you. For instance, Al Baldessaro is up at the well a lot. He put him in the middle of a row so that he's got to go past quite a few people to get out. Intentionally put him there. And he's got a bad hip. He put in for an aisle seat because of a physical situation where he's got to get up and walk around a lot, and they intentionally stuck him in the middle of the row.
So is this the grounds for an ADA suit?
Well, he's going through some...
That's American with
Yes,
Disabilities Act.
He's going...
No accommodation by the Democrat-appointed or elected Speaker of the House. This could be, this is like us at Granite Rock. They just give us stuff to talk about.
Well, it's like, I'm the Speaker of the whole House, and we got to move on, and we have to do the people's business, and on and on and on. And it sounds like little petty stuff, but, when you're constantly doing something, it starts adding up. It never smooths things over. It never does. It never works. And like Max Abrams, Abrams removing him from that committee without even sitting down and having a talk with him. I guess he found out through the press. That,
it's going to be rather interesting because as much as he complained about Bill O'Brien, isn't he setting an even worse table with this?
Well, Bill just removed people after plenty of warnings, and they were disruptive. Not from the get-go. People were not plucked and moved around just because he can do it.
No, and I didn't mean that way, but I mean Jasper complained bitterly about the way that Bill ran the House, and now he's doing an even worse job.
Well, because it's all about him. It's not about the people's business. That's just a little, quick soundbite. Oh, we're going to do the people's business, and behind the scenes, it's just all vindictiveness. And he's just like we've talked before, his ego is huge, and it's all about him, and it's not going to help anything. I think you saw that interview on WMUR, right?
We did, yes.
And there's just a few people on the fringe that are upset.
After slamming Bill O'Brien and trying to make out that Bill's support is vanishing, he then tried to sound conciliatory to conservatives, but his first actions in the House belie that. Well,
you read between the words with that interview. I've never voted against any existing gun rights. I like that one. First one I heard that is there's a politician,
the original one. Yeah.
right? For any existing, against any existing gun rights. So in other words, I've never voted to make them any better. You know what I mean? That's just a weasel word. And energy costs are low right now. Really? I guess he hasn't been looking at his electric bill because,
and in the beginning when McElvin was, I posted about that, and he came across as being very thin-skinned, very imperious at any suggestion that people would dare to stand up to him. And I said right then and there, this is going to be a long
2 years. You aren't kidding. And you're exactly right. I'm not sure how he came across to other people because I know him. I don't know him personally. I don't like him. We've never talked, but I know him of him, his actions. But it's interesting to hear how he did come across from other people. But he did sit there very uncomfortable. He wasn't comfortable doing that interview.
Oh, no, he wasn't at all.
I think they sat him on a first grader seat, didn't they? Because
no, he was just sitting at the... He was very much... You could tell. He wanted to be there, but his body language was saying, I got to get out of here. It was very uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it was. And it was just, typical political rhetoric. I don't know how... I don't see the conservatives are not giving in on this because it's just a matter of principle, and for him to get up there and say it's just a few in the fringe, so-called, it's not true. The few is like over 100. I thought few was like 3 or several.
If you're talking
over
300 million, just over 100 is a few. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what is going to be first up on the plate as you guys are getting ready to hit the ground running now this week, right?
Well, first up on the plate is going to be the Rules Committee that he put himself in charge of.
With Chandler.
Right. And so all of that's got to come up for vote. Okay? And the fact that he only picked up 20% of the Republican votes to become Speaker, and then he appointed the Majority Leader, which that's going to be coming up where we picked our leader was Representative Bill O'Brien.
Can't you hold a vote for the Majority Leader, since the Democrats aren't allowed to vote for the Republican leader?
We can. Well, the fact that Bill O'Brien was chosen by the caucus to be the Majority Leader, what's going to be coming up is how could somebody, the Democrat-elected Speaker Jasper, who only picked up 20% of Republican votes, then how can he turn around and point the Republican leader when he was not put in by the Republicans? And that's the bone of contention right now, that we already chose a leader before we got into caucus.
Well, the double standard is that the Democrats duly elected their own leader,
yes,
who was then confirmed as the minority leader,
by the
Stephen
Speaker.
Shurtleff.
Right.
And yet the Democrat-appointed Speaker of the House, Jasper, decided not to let the Republican caucus have the same privilege of voting for their own. He duly appointed Mr. Flanagan as the majority leader. Now,
right. That's
this has
fine.
got trouble. No, but if the Democrats get to vote for their leader, why shouldn't the Republicans get to vote for theirs, especially when they are the majority in the House? And
right.
That's really the problem.
That's the way things work when you do carry the majority of your party to achieve the speakership. So you would appoint then. But he did not. He only picked up 20% of his party. So it's kind of like, so how can you appoint a majority leader when you were not even close to a majority?
Yeah. Well, the corresponding thing in a look back is Bill O'Brien, when he was Speaker, allowed the caucus to elect its own majority leader.
Yes, he did. And the 20 seconds for second for a roll call, that's going to be coming up. His excuse there is it's too costly to do roll calls. And
what?
It's too costly to him,
yeah.
Sure.
It's a button press.
Yes.
We've already
well,
got
it comes up on right now with that thing. I mean, within 5 minutes with the new computer system, 5 seconds. I'm sorry. Anybody watching knows how you voted. I mean, now I guess when you put stuff in the permanent,
did he actually use the words "too expensive"?
He used. He alluded to cost. Yes.
We definitely need to know that. If we could tell us how to run that down and find out, because that really is. I mean, it was a costly system to put in, but once it's in, all you need is the electricity to run it.
Right. And besides, the only thing it's too costly for is the taxpayers, because it'll allow them to get away with spending that we're not watching.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's only one reason why you would do that. There was only one reason why you would make it harder for a roll call vote, so that the folks back at home can put their representative's name next to the way they voted.
Yep.
And only one reason is because you don't want them to know how they voted.
And that's his first sop to the Democrats. because they hate being held accountable.
Yes.
Just like in the New Hampshire State Senate, the Republicans won't hold roll call votes.
No.
Sorry.
Well, if you're going to stand up for a roll call vote, you're going to be eating alone. As far as the state senate.
Yeah. Well,
you're going to be over in the corner with your little tray and your little cup.
high school all over again. You're not part of the clique.
No, exactly. They warn against roll calls. If you call a roll call, none of your legislation is going to get through.
Well, I'm hoping that a few new senators will form their own little micro caucus and say, screw you.
It might be worth not having your own legislation go through to make sure everybody knows how people are voting on legislation that does go through.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an important service
Yeah.
to the community.
Yeah.
And there should be. Is there any movement to make sure there's 20 seconds for every freaking vote that comes up?
Well, yes, we got to do it.
That was exactly what I was going to suggest.
And,
now more than ever.
Right. So you do have that. We had talked about that sheet. Put the bill number on, and you can sign, get signatures, so that the speaker doesn't just blow through the roll call when, call for roll call, and if everybody doesn't jump up, it's not sufficient second, no roll call. So you hand the sheet in, but you have to be in your assigned seats. So actually what it's going to do is it's going to make the day longer, because now you have to check around and see if 20 people in their assigned seats before you say the roll call is valid. And so it's going to make things even harder, because the sheet's going to be used all the time. Therefore, you got to look at the signatures. You got to scan the room. Got to make sure they're in their assigned seats. It's going to slow things up, other than the bing bang boom the roll calls used to be.
As that Chicago philosopher agitator once said, make them live up to their own rule book.
Yes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Susan Olson on a Second Amendment update, and this is Grok Talk, blah, blah, blah. We'll be right back.